You ask and we deliver. We made a video a couple weeks ago talking about what fits your 2008 to 2016 Subaru WRX, and all of you in the comments were like, whoa, you should do that with the BRZ and the FRS. And we said, sure, why not? So we decided that we would talk to you about everything that fits the Subaru BRZ. Is that right? Is it the BRZ? And the Scion, not the Toyota, FRS. Now, before we get into it, we have a ton of information, so we're gonna put all of the links in the description in terms of what fits, what doesn't fit, links to galleries, links to wheels and tires, links to everything in between. So this is more of a master list if you're looking to figure out the first set of wheels, or maybe second or 100 set of wheels you're looking to put on your BRZ or FRS. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, and then, drop a comment below on what wheel or brand or car or whatever you want to see come from Fitment Industries next. So let's just get right into it. So before we get into anything, our guaranteed fitment range for the BRZ and for the FRS is going to float right around a 17 to 20 inch diameter wheel, a 7 inch to 8.5 width, and anything between a 35 to 48 offset. So if you want the guaranteed fitment, you want something that's absolutely going to work, we'll put the little text right here, that is guaranteed to fit. No questions asked, no rubbing, no trimming, no rolling, no fenders, no modifications, nothing at all. Slap them bad boys on and give her a whirl and it'll work. Now, does that mean that's the range that you should use? No, it's Fitment Industries. We're gonna try and get you that perfect fitment as much as possible. So we're gonna give you a couple different options going up from 2013 to 2017, 2018 as to what can actually fit on your BRZ or your FRS. So let's start off with just 2013. So 2013 sees 17 inch diameter wheels and 18 inch diameter wheels. And when you go into the 17 diameter inch wheels, you're looking at something from around a 35 to a 40 offset. And that's gonna give you just a nice clean look. Now, when we get into the 40 offset, you're looking at more of a tuck setup versus the 35 is gonna get you nice and flush. If you're looking at a 17x9, we've noticed a lot of people are going with a 215 to 225 40 wheel and tire combo to get just a nice little setup. Now, for the most part, people aren't running a 17 inch wheel. We're seeing a lot of people run an 18x9.5, and you're gonna see that at a 22, a 30, a 35, a 38, and a 42 offset. Now, a lot of those are very typical offset wheels out there. So if you're looking at a 22, pretty much all the way up to like a 32 to a 35, you're going to have a poke issue if you're just doing coilover. So you do want to be a little bit careful with that. And if you go into the 32 to the 38, you're gonna have a nice flush setup. 38 to a 45 is gonna give you a tuck setup. Now, we do have to give you a little bit of a disclaimer that if you're running a 17x9.5 and a plus 45 offset, you are gonna experience strut issues and rubbing into things on stock suspension components. So you wanna make sure that if you do plan on doing something with a 9.5, that you try to keep it at a 35 offset or lower. And you'll be able to see what looks at a 25 offset for that car, a 40 offset, and a 38 as we bring up the images right here. The biggest thing to note is obviously that lower the offset, the more it pokes out. Now, you can make lower offset wheels fit if you want to. Just remember that you are going to have to work in terms of camber and toe and different things that you're gonna have to modify and change around to just get the appropriate clearance needed the lower you go with the offset if you don't wanna mess with your fenders. Now, when we go through all the numbers for these cars, we are already looking at wheels that at the very minimal, you have to get your fenders rolled. So remember that as you're taking that into account, you do need to at least roll your fenders because everybody rolls their fenders at this point, and for the most part, you just kind of have to. Otherwise, you're gonna be stuck with that fitment range that we talked about before, and you'll be running like 17x8 plus 35s, and it'll be boring, and you'll get no clout on the Instagram, and it's just gonna be a tough time, and you just won't have any fun with it, and you're gonna be stuck with everybody else with the lame wheels and not the cool wheels. And I'm ranting, so we're gonna go on to the next year, which is the 2014 BRZ and FRS. Now, you're gonna see not a whole lot changes, except for the fact that a lot more people own a 2014 versus a 13, so we're gonna have a lot more data. You're gonna see a lot of people in the 14s run a whole bunch of different wheels, from everything from the ESR RF2 to the Gramlite 57s to even the Volk TE37s. You're gonna see people run Works, you're gonna see people run Barstow ES2s, you're gonna see people run Avids, you're gonna see people run a lot of different stuff. So if you're interested in seeing what wheels look like on that specific year, we'll actually drop some links below as well. But when it comes down to different sizing, you are gonna see again that 18x9.5 probably be the most common wheel setup with a 225/40, all the way up actually to 255/35 if you really wanna get a meaty setup on your 9.5 wide. We do see a couple of people go staggered in the 2014 and 2015 BRZ and FRS, but predominantly it's not a very common thing for a lot of people. If you are wanting to run a staggered setup, we are seeing people run a front 18x9 or an 18x9.5, and then running an 18x10.5 with a lower offset, probably a +20 or +30, but they do have fender modifications done to make sure that that fits. You're looking at probably about -3 degrees of camber and a couple extra things that you have to get done if you want to run a very aggressive setup. Now the question may be asked, can you run, you know, an 18x10.5 -17 and an 18x-12 -37? The answer is yes. You're just going to have to run over fenders and do all the modifications you could possibly imagine for the most extensive setup possible. But for the most part, if you're looking at a 2014 BRZ or FRS, you're going to be floating right around that 35 range. You can go down to 32 offset, which is going to give you a little bit more aggressive, but you will have to pull back your tire a little bit. You'd probably be looking at something more along the lines of a 215/40 or 225/35 if they still exist to get that thing to fit underneath your car. A couple other common setups are an 18x8.5 +30 and a 17x9 +30, both of which are going to fit on the car just fine. So if you're looking to stick around something like that, it is completely possible. You just want to keep an eye that offset. Now when it comes to 2015, it seems like nobody owns one. We're not entirely sure why. So for the 4 people out there that own a 2015 FRS BRZ, this is for you. You're going to notice that a lot of people are going to be running an 18x9 +30 or +35. That's going to be a little bit more common, and that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of people aren't trying to go more aggressive with the 2015s just because there's not as many people that own them. So that's not to say that a 9.5 can't fit. It's just to say that we aren't seeing a lot of people doing the 9.5 versus the 9. With an 18x9 +30 or +35 paired with like a 225 or 235/40 tire, you're gonna get just a nice track setup. This is super common with the ESR RF2s that we're seeing and the Enkei RPF1s, and another one that I just can't remember. I think it's called the Raijin or something like that, but it is an extremely common Enkei wheel. You're gonna see a lot of sport compact wheels coming out here. We also see a lot of Cosmos. The MR7s and the MR2s are extremely common on the FRS and the BRZ. 18x9.5 +22 is also a wheel that will fit, but remember we're talking about that poke, so you are gonna see that poke outside of the fender. If you do end up getting a little bit of camber, then you're A-okay, you're right as rain, but if you're not looking to do any sort of camber issues, we usually recommend 30 to 35. If you're looking to get something more into tuck, you're looking at anywhere from a 40 to a 45. For this year, we do see tires also stay the same. We're looking at around a 215/40 if you're looking on the low end for width, up to a 245/40. The biggest thing with these sort of setups, especially with the 9.5s, is you're gonna wanna keep that aspect ratio of your tire to 40 or less. So if you're looking at a 255, we recommend doing a 255/40, or even if you wanna be safer, a 255/35, which is gonna be a little bit more expensive, but at the same time, almost every person out there is running a 35 series or a 40 series tire at the absolute maximum, and that's just to make sure that you don't have any sort of clearance issues. Again, with this one, we're seeing a lot of common setups of the 18x8.5 +35 and the 17x9 +35 if you're looking to go with a smaller compact wheel. 17-inch wheels are super common with the Enkei lineup. They're also very common with a lot of the older wheel lineup. If you're looking to go retro or old school, maybe you're buying some used Works, or you're buying some used Rotas, just kidding, or maybe you're buying some used Volks or something like that, that is gonna be a little bit more common for you guys out there that are looking to buy a used set of wheels. Now, obviously we're not your parents, we don't want you to do that, but you can do whatever you want. So then for the 2016 and 2017, 2016 just for the FRS, and 2016, 2017 for the FRS BRZ, just pretty much, they're like, it's just, I don't know why they decided to make 2 of them, but they did. And then it's just very difficult for us to, it's fine. For the 2016, 2017, what you're looking at is the same setup as the previous years. The generations changed very minimally, so you are gonna see the 18x9.5. You are gonna see some people running the +22s for a little bit of that poke look. Some people actually prefer that. +35 is just a clean look, 235s, 35s, 18s with that 18x9.5 +35 is just a solid setup. You're gonna have a lot of options for it. And then of course, if you wanna go a little bit more conservative, that +40 offset is also a thing. We do see a lot of people running with the airlift setups, a lot of +20s and 0 offsets, but when you start getting into that, you are playing a lot with what size the over fenders are. So if you're interested in learning about how to measure for your wide body for your FRS or BRZ, drop a comment below and we'll be sure to help you out with that in a video in the future. So if you're looking at the setup on some wheels, whether it's BRZ, FRS, AE86, or whatever name that you guys have decided to name these cars besides what the manufacturers seem to name them, let us know. We have a bunch of links below that will help you figure out what the fitment is right for your BRZ, FRS, and of course, check out our website at fitmentindustries.com. fitmentindustries.com. You can enter in your year, make, and model, and we will tell you everything that fits. And the coolest thing about it is the fact that we're going to tell you what fits based on what you guys have already added into the gallery. So you get to see wheels that a lot of other places aren't telling you will fit, will actually fit, because you guys have gone out there and done that. Now, if you have a BRZ FRS and you want to add it to the gallery, you can do so at fitmentindustries.com/add. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. Don't forget to check out the descriptions below, where we have tons of links and images and everything you would need to know to buy your first set of wheels, second set of wheels, or 100th set of wheels for your FRS BRZ. And we'll see you later. Peace.